In 2004, Procter & Gamble became entangled in a heated debate regarding the rights of homosexuals. The decision by Procter & Gamble to support the repeal of a 1993 Cincinnati Charter Amendment, I think it's Amendment 12, dealing with sexual orientation, ultimately resulted in the boycott of two Procter & Gamble products, Crest toothpaste and Tide detergent. Although I also read their Pampers was in there.
Yeah, they boycotted all our brands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the media described Procter & Gamble as the first company to support the political agenda of the homosexual movement. You were right in the heart of all this. Can you describe the different factors that contributed to the corporation's decision to support the movement?
Well, first let me reframe the issue because while I certainly agree with how you reported it as it was played out in some media, that really isn't what was going on here. A number of years ago, our city charter was amended to exclude protection against discrimination based on sexual orientation. And that set in motion over a period of time some real economic impacts to the city. Conventions, for example, refused to come here. We, as a community, I think took on a very intolerant kind of a reputation. And that combined with some other things that had happened in Cincinnati, whether it was the Maplethorpe exhibit or Marge Schott in the Cincinnati Reds, we were beginning to develop a reputation as a community being quite unwelcoming. And that simply was not good for anybody. It had an impact in terms of P&G, on our ability to recruit people, on the economic vitality of the community, a lot of things that we as a company care about. So we, along with the Chamber of Commerce and virtually every other business in the community, aligned on the need to repeal Article 12. And essentially what that did was then return our charter to a neutral position. That it really didn't take a position on sexual orientation as a basis for discrimination. And so we really got into this based on what we felt was a very important corporate interest in both the reputation and economic vitality of the community. We then got in some political crosswinds in Ohio in 2004, presidential election year, and also a year in which the Protection of Marriage Amendment was on the state ballot. And I think we became a vehicle for raising the visibility of that particular political issue. I think this had very little to do with P&G's long-standing diversity policy of respect on a lot of different qualities and interests, including sexual orientation. To say that this had anything to do with P&G taking up a homosexual agenda is absolutely ridiculous. And it was a political positioning. It really had nothing in the merits, and I think most people would agree with that. To me, this whole episode, which ended with the American Family Association calling an end to the boycott because it was ill-founded, the real lesson here is that out of a crisis, you can develop much stronger relationships and partnerships, and this certainly was the case in this situation. You know, we had been in the sights, like most big advertisers of the American Family Association, for many years. They would, from time to time, write us or protest if we sponsored a particular program or perhaps had advertising content that they found objectionable. So we were well known to AFA, and we certainly had the door open for them to call us. They chose not to. That was a real signal that we had lost touch with important stakeholder relationships in the Christian community. That led to renewing those relationships. And as an outgrowth of this 2004 episode, we created something that we called the Multi-View Resource Network. So we've started resource groups for the Christian community, Jewish, Muslim, the gay lesbian community, where when we have an important policy matter, we'll seek their input. It's not that they will concur, but they will counsel based on their particular worldview. So, for example, we renewed our stem cell research policy. So we convened the Multi-View Network. We asked from their particular worldview what perspective could they offer us, so that we didn't unintentionally do something without being aware of how it might be viewed by stakeholders in the community. And it was really, really helpful. When we updated our programming and sponsorship policy, we convened the Multi-View Network and again got input from these different worldviews, which I think has helped us to renew our policy and have it be even more robust. And we did that with an understanding of how it would be viewed in different stakeholder communities. So out of that unfortunate mess that occurred in 2004, I think we got a lot stronger as a company. We have now, I would say, very strong relationships in the Christian community as one example. And I doubt that something like that would happen again, because people would call us first and say, well, help me understand your position on Article 12 as an example. And I think we would be able to have dialogue rather than need to deal in a crisis environment and through the media. And so I viewed that on balance as a really good reminder of the importance of being in touch and developing those key stakeholder relationships.
Do you think that your leadership role in Cincinnati and all of the people that you met from the various, the fabric of the whole community helped you to devise this network, and was it your connections within the community that helped you bring this to a reality? I'm looking at how you might have been caught in conflict here because of how active you've been in the Cincinnati community, and if that was a benefit to you in trying to resolve this, the 2004.
I don't think the connections in the community had that much to do with resolving the situation. I mean, I think it was a great example of big tree catches the wind. You know, we were the easiest target for this group. Our brands are well known. We're a leadership company, and we're actually quite respected for our diversity policy and the way we really live it, not just talk about it. So I'm not sure the community piece was so important in the resolution. The community piece was really important in developing a coalition to ultimately defeat and have the repeal of Article 12. That was bad public policy. That was hurting the economic vitality of our city and our region, and that needed to go. And P&G was an important part of a broad coalition in the community to get that amendment repealed. So I think we got the right thing done. We took some flack in the process, but I'd make the same decision again. There's no question in my mind that we made the right policy decision.
Is there anything else that you would like to talk about that we haven't really covered in the interview? There's probably lots more, but any useful information that you would want to share with this next generation of PR practitioners? And everything you just said in your last answer is obviously wonderful information.
Well, I think I think our role in the company has changed and will continue to evolve from being communicators to being business leaders. Really having a seat at the table. And that requires different experience and skills than when I entered the profession nearly 20 years ago. First of all, we really have to understand the business. We have to understand the consumer, the retail customer, the business strategy, the priorities. We can't get that as hand-me-down information from the marketing team. We have to be at the table really understanding and shaping the business strategy, not just as recipients or reading a piece of paper, but we have to be in there bringing the outside in to influence the business direction. So I think that's the first thing, is really understanding the business. Second, we need to be real leaders. We need to, at P&G we have this thing called the 5 E's of leadership, and it starts with envisioning, being able to envision the future direction and having a clear picture of the desired end result. We need to be able to do that from a business standpoint, and clearly we need to be able to do that in terms of how external relations is going to contribute to achieving those business goals. And then I think we need to be ever more creative, innovative, resourceful. As the media landscape changes, as the role of what we call influencer marketing in the marketing mix. That's a broader version of brand PR. But as influencer marketing becomes really the source of a lot of marketing innovation for our brands, we really have to turn on the innovation and creativity. We really need to be able to see how to take influencer insights and relationships and turn them into big ideas. That's a different set of skills than folks had when I started in this business. We were much more order takers, and we got knowledge about the business on a hand-me-down basis. There's never been a more exciting and important time to be in our profession, and I'm very optimistic about the opportunity we have to build the business and make a contribution.